Hey guys, what's going on? Back again with another Vanguard Zombies video, and it's going to be somewhat of a follow-up video from the last one I did, where I did a video on my initial thoughts and reaction to the Vanguard Zombies, I guess new mode, Der Anfang, I guess is the new mode, or just, it's not really a new map, but it's, I guess, a new mode, similar almost to the Tortured Path, or maybe a little bit of Transit. So I played it a little bit more, but this time I played it in public lobbies, and this is what I think the truth about it. I guess when you get down to the nitty gritty and kind of like the bottom line about how I would kind of sum up Vanguard Zombies and the Darren Fang mode, I think it plays more like Spec Ops than it does like Zombies, which I guess is a good thing. I know a lot of people actually compare it more to Outbreak, and it's just because I guess people are a little bit more ignorant. I guess I would say we're like people like to think that they're experts, but they really even haven't touched Call of Duty, so to speak. All they know is one thing. They actually don't um, tap into the other modes and sections of Call of Duty. They don't do campaign, they don't do multiplayer. Some of them just do zombies and think they're an expert on the entire Call of Duty franchise. And I'm mainly talking about the big zombie YouTubers like I usually do. Because I guess it's my fault. They're the ones that I mostly watch on YouTube, anyways. The big channels, seeing what's new, what's kind of mainstream, I guess I would call it. They don't really solve anything. They're just kind of the mainstream channels. They've been there, and you just kind of listen to them to see what's new, or I guess in a way, kind of new as clickbait. So a lot of them are saying it's kind of like Outbreak, but that's just the ignorance that I'm talking about. It really doesn't play like Outbreak at all. It has some aspects of it. To me, once you go into a public lobby, it plays more like Spec Ops, and a lot of them probably are gonna lie and say that they play Spec Ops. They probably only played it for like once or twice. But if you do the Spec Ops missions, this is what it reminds me of, because it's more about teamwork and camaraderie, where you're all working towards each other with each other to complete the mission. Whereas Outbreak is different, because Outbreak, you get four people, the map starts, and four people go in four different directions. Each of them go to complete a mission on their own. Everybody wants to get the loot crate. Nobody really wants to share too much. Or it's probably the fastest, more effective way to complete Outbreak, is everybody go in their own direction and complete an objective on their own. Whereas in Darren Fang and Vanguard, it's more like Spec Ops, because you're all kind of forced to go in one map, one section at a time, and then you all work together. You're literally, I don't want to use the term holding hands, because that's usually a bad thing in multiplayer or Warzone, but it's a good thing in Darren Fang or Vanguard Zombies, where you're all shoulder to shoulder. You're kind of like working in the trenches or fighting in the trenches together. So I think that might be something that maybe Treyarch or Sledgehammer should kind of maybe put forward a little bit more, or maybe use that as their little niche or angle. That they should market it more as like Spec Ops Zombies, which I think would be like a great idea. Again, I think it's more like a tutorial, anyways, or kind of like just to get you your basics of the mode. But then eventually, I think maybe they should split off each, Blitz and Harvest and Transmit into their own maybe little subsections, and then kind of like Spec Ops, where you can go in and do all the transit for each map, or maybe kind of almost like Onslaught. I know people are gonna say, well, that kind of is like more like Onslaught. So I guess maybe in a way it is kind of more like Onslaught and Spec Ops, but maybe in the future they'll break. Like I said, this is probably tutorial, so people get familiar with all the modes. But I think eventually what Treyarch Call of Duty might do is break all these objectives down into their own subcategories, where you can log in or load into the game, and then if you want to just do transmit for the day, get all the transmit challenges done, you go in and you do that. And I think they should market it maybe a little bit more like Spec Ops, to kind of bring some more multiplayer people in there. Like, hey, this is kind of like Spec Ops, but it has zombies, and it's kind of like, I know it doesn't have necessarily. I mean, it does have the big zombies shooting you with the machine gun, minigun, but at the same time, I feel like when you go in multiplayer, not multiplayer, when you go into a public lobby with just randoms, and then you start playing it, everybody's playing it more like Spec Ops, which is a good thing. I'm like, wow, it makes me actually love the mode even more, because it gets nostalgic, and it brings me back to the days of Modern Warfare 3, maybe Modern Warfare 2019, and maybe even Ghost, because I think Ghost and Advanced Warfare had Spec Ops. So it reminds me, well, actually, Advanced Warfare was just more survival. I don't think it really had missions. So I'm going to say it's more like Modern Warfare, maybe 2 and 3. Well, actually, no, I think it was only in 3, and in Modern Warfare 2019. So I think maybe they should market it that way a little bit better, or make it a little bit more obvious. But I know they're probably scared that people are going to complain even more. But the thing is, like I try to tell the devs on Twitter in Call of Duty, is it no longer matters to me, or shouldn't matter, what these 3, 4 big toxic negative zombie YouTubers think, because they're always going to be toxic and negative anyways. But then again, they're like, if you just listen to them, you're always going to have a toxic negative vibe. But if you like um, watch maybe smaller channels, or just go in and play it with public people in the public lobby, maybe that's something they should do. Maybe in the next like Treyarch Studio broadcast, is maybe, or I guess Raven and Sledgehammer at this point, is go in and do it in public lobbies, and just find out how much like people are loving it that are playing it, not necessarily the same 3, 4, 5 toxic zombie YouTubers that are always just gonna have something negative to say about it. But I played it for a couple hours last night, and I just love how it feels like Spec Ops. And I'm like, maybe that's something that they missed. They missed marketing it as Spec Ops, or something similar to Spec Ops, or letting people know, like, hey, if you love Spec Ops and Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 3, hey, maybe you'll love this new version of Zombies. And it makes me actually want to go in there now, because I'm like, wow, it's cool. You get 4 people together, you're all trying to complete a mission. Or maybe they should break it up like that a little bit better, where they like, hey, for this one, your mission is that you go in there and you do this. Or I don't know if it, like, having it like a military presence might be something that it's missing. But it felt a lot like Spec Ops, where um, you're in there, you all need each other's help. It's a little bit different from the normal zombies, where people are just kind of like doing their own thing. People find their own corner to train, and then if you come in their area, then they get mad at you that you're killing their zombies. But I think this is different. Or maybe even plays like Extinction, where everybody is helping each other. And I think that's something that was really, really nice when I played it last night. And again, it goes to show why you shouldn't listen to negative, toxic people, because that's all they're going to ever say and think, is just whatever, no matter how good it is, no matter what they do. And I even said this on Twitter, if they give us like 20 maps on launch, they give us Zombie Chronicles 2 on launch in Vanguard, then they probably would just complain they should have kept it for Cold War. Or if they put it in Cold War, then they would just complain that, Zombie Chronicles 2 should have been in Vanguard. So you'll never win. But I just wanted to mention that I thought it was really nice that last night I played a couple rounds of Vanguard Zombies. I'm like, wow, this feels exactly what I remember Spec Ops being like back in the day, when you're going in there, it's dark, it's scary, and it's maybe your first time playing. It's very intense and fun at the same time. And that's exactly what it reminded me of last night, is playing Spec Ops. I'm like, wow, they kind of really missed the boat, or missed an opportunity letting people know about how it could feel like, how you can kind of interpret it almost like a Spec Ops Zombies. Or maybe that's something that they should have marketed a little bit better. Maybe draw in some more people. Maybe, I don't know if they should throw in the term Spec Ops in there to help people, or maybe just have the devs or Treyarch, relay that to people, that, hey, if you love Spec Ops in Modern Warfare, this is kind of like that, but with zombies. Would have been probably another good opportunity. But those are just a couple more thoughts that I had. Aside from that, again, it's dark, it's scary, it's intense, and I'm just gonna grind the challenges. I want to complete a lot of the basic challenges and calling cards that are in there. So I think that's maybe something else they should market, is like tell people like, hey, you can get cool calling cards if um, you know, if you play the zombies mode. And the only other thing I think, and the reason I mentioned about Spec Ops is like Spec Ops had objectives and a mission, so maybe they should do like, hey, this mission you have to complete, like this trial, I guess you might say, you have to complete like 15 rounds, have like maybe bonuses, maybe like COD, not COD point, but maybe some type of bonus or daily challenges where like go in zombies mode, survive for 10 rounds. I think they did that in the other games. So once they start putting that stuff in the game, I think it's going to feel more and more like um, a Spec Ops. And I think that's something that would be really, really cool if they put a lot of challenges in there saying like, hey, do this, or I know there's a lot in there, like I said, that you can get calling cards and stuff like that. But once they start putting daily challenges, I think it's going to be a little bit better. Um, or I guess not literally, not better, but like people complain less. Um, but again, like I said, I know it's just that people want to put their 2 cents out there. So it makes them look like, they're doing their job, so to speak. Um, Sorry, I always get the hiccups because I always do this right after I eat. I'm like, let me eat real quick, and then I'm just gonna talk about this for a couple minutes. But that's the only couple things I wanted to talk about was maybe put a couple more challenges, or maybe there should have been more challenges in the beginning so people basically stop complaining, or market it as Spec Ops Zombies in a way, or maybe just have them talk about how it feels or plays a little bit more like Spec Ops than it does like Zombies. So if you like that almost military brotherhood style, um, it would be kind of cool. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. I'll see you guys later.